Property taxes. That is the one thing that we cannot run away from. So today, in this short 10-minute video, I'm going to talk to you about property taxes, about MUDs, about PIDs, about PUDs, about homestead exemption, about all the exemptions that you can get as a homeowner. We're gonna get into a lot of good information, so please watch to the end because if you're a homeowner, this is gonna help you save money, and if you're gonna be a home buyer, this is gonna help you save money as well. This video is not gonna be edited, right? So we're not gonna do no crazy edits. This is just gonna be raw information from my house to your house. All right, so let's get right into it. All right, so understanding property taxes. A lot of you are familiar with property taxes, but some of you might not even know where that money is going. So I wanted just to give you a full breakdown of what that is, and then move on to the other bigger steps. So let's click through my presentation. I try to make it really simple and easy. I'm a visual learner myself, so I like to show you all a nice presentation here. Just like I said, there's no edits, there's no craziness. This is just information. So what are the property taxes, right? Basically, it's just the amount that they charge you every single year for your property. This money goes towards schools, the roads, the police, the parks, the fire departments. All of that it's basically coming and getting paid from the amount that you pay every single year, right? Texas, as we all know, we might have a higher property tax rate, but there is no state income tax. So compared to other states like Las Vegas, other cities like Las Vegas, LA, those have really low tax rates, but they usually pay tax some other way. And the thing that I tell people, it's like really the government's gonna get their money some way or another, but this is just how they get their money, right? It's not like there's a lot of savings that you're gonna see because you're still getting property taxed if you move to Texas. Now, I like to make it simple to understand, right? I visualize myself as if I was just new to the game, new buying my first property, and just made it super easy to understand. So basically, they tax you with this formula. Home value, they take your home value of whatever it is appraised every year, and then they multiply 10 times the tax rate. Each city, each neighborhood, each county is going to have their own tax rate. And then that pretty much means that that would be the amount of property taxes you would be paying every single year. I like to add examples here. So I added a $300,000 price or just an evaluation of 300,000. Right now, the average tax rate around the Dallas area, it's about 2.3%. And basically, 2.3% of 300,000, that's about $6,900 a year. So whenever you hear people talking about my property taxes went up, the tax rate probably didn't change. And that is really hard to change. The only thing that changed was the value. So if 2020 your house is 300,000, but 2025 your house is 600 or 500,000, then of course your taxes are bound to be up because they multiply whatever your home is worth times the tax rate. So it would just depend on your neighborhood, your community. Each neighborhood might have a different tax rate, but just for this example, I just gave you the average, which is 2.3%. That gives us a total of $6,900 a year, which if we divide that by 12 months, that gives us about 575,000 that goes from the amount that you pay on your mortgage to the banks. And then usually the banks put it into a savings account, and every year they send a big check to the county. What's my other one? Average property tax rate, right? Pretty much what I just talked about. 2.3, it's about the average. You might get lucky and find older neighborhoods that have tax rates under 2%, or you might go, oh, an hour or an hour 30 minutes away from the city. You might buy a property that has no city tax. And if there's no city tax, usually that is a lot lower than 2%. Basically, just what I said, the county taxes you on two. Basically, if your tax rate is 2.3%, the county takes $2.30 from every $100 that your home is worth, right? So county taxes about $2.30 for every $100 of taxable home value. This is the easiest way to understand property tax. A lot of people are always asking about it, but some people don't really understand how it works, right? So that is why it is really important for you, either as a homeowner or as a home buyer, to know what your tax rate is, right? This usually plays a huge effect whenever buying the home. I don't usually recommend just buying a home just because it has a lower tax rate, but it's good to understand what you're getting yourself into. All right, and I also had the chance to add in some more examples for you. If we're doing a $250,000 home with the same tax rate, that's about $479 that you would be paying every single month for this home in property taxes. If we do a $500,000 home, that's about $1,000, 958 that goes every month for property taxes. So I have a lot of buyers that sometimes they bought homes years ago. And now they're like, hey, well, I want my mortgage payment to be 2000. But I'm like, from just property taxes and insurance by itself, you're close to $1,000 already. And you haven't even paid the principal or the interest. So this is why it's very important to learn about taxes and property taxes. All right, let's move on to the other one. So this is the other question, one of my most frequent asked questions that I get asked all the time. Rigo, what are MUDs? What are PIDs? What are PUDs? Why is this newer construction neighborhood a lot more, have a higher tax rate than this older neighborhood? So typically, I'm gonna go over every single one of these and I'm gonna show you the explanation. But basically, these are added on tax on the community basically to cover for other amenities, right? So you in the years ago, the city would fund most of the neighborhoods, but now the developers are keep trying to keep up with the demand. So now they're basically adding other tax rates into the communities, which we're going to go about it in detail here. So basically, most of these would help pay for the roads, pay for the utilities, and community improvements. If you're out shopping new construction, you might see one of these terms, MUDs, PIDs, PUDs. A lot of people get confused. A lot of people that think that they mean the same when in reality they don't. They don't mean nothing. So they're all separate, but they're basically an added on tax. This is really important to know, or just so that way you can understand whenever you're purchasing your new home. Okay, so what is MUD, right? MUD is the municipal utility district. This is probably going to be one of the most common ones that you're going to see in new construction neighborhoods because whenever they buy the land, it's just raw land, right? Sometimes it's just country out in the open, raw land. And to build a neighborhood that can support thousands of homes, they need millions and millions of dollars for infrastructure, to run the water lines, to run the city sewer, the roads, the drainage, it costs a lot of money. So that's why you would see a MUD. Usually these neighborhoods, from my experience, I have seen that they're usually a little bit farther away from the main city. And that's where a lot of that's like that same city cannot longer fund those. So now those developers basically they're the ones that make the lots ready so that way they can sell them to the home builders, right? And the home builders are the ones that actually built a house and then they sell it. But the developers are the ones that develop the raw land. They make the community, they make the roads, they make the utilities, and then they pass it on to the builder. But this is basically what that means. It's a MUD. If your neighborhood has a MUD, you already know it has a municipal utility district pretty much to pay for all the things in the neighborhood. And usually some of these might be anywhere from 20 to 40 years as well. So basically, it's just an added on tax rate for 20 to 40 years. Usually, most of these would have a total due. I don't suggest paying the total due to try to get it out your way and have lower property taxes because in reality, it would be really, really rare for you to stay in that home for 20 years. So if you pay it upfront and within the first 5 years and you pay up the mud upfront, you're not gonna see that money back if you're gonna resell it. People are not looking into that. They just add it into the monthly tax rate. So that is always something to think about. Now the next one it's going to be, oh, so now it's going to be the example. So basically, community A would have no mud or PID, and the tax rate would just be 2.3%, right? And then we would have community B, which would be down the street, which would have a mud. Basically, that community, since it has a mud, the tax rate is higher. So basically, we have A and we have B, right? A and B. A has the 2.3, B has the 3%. So on a $350,000 home, option A, community A, would have a $671 a month on property tax, while community B, it's going to be $875. So that's why it's really, really important to compare the tax rates as well, because you see that's almost $200 on your monthly payment, right? And $200 times 12, I mean, you do the math, right? You do the math. I'm just here to explain the information. If you're going to be, I know a lot of you are going to be in the comments. Let me know what you think on the comments. But in reality, I don't control none of this. I'm just spreading the word. So, but y'all let me know what you think in the comments so far. Now, let me plug in my computer really quick. Yeah, so we should be good. Now, what is PID, right? PID is the Public Improvement District. This is a little bit different because this helps just the aesthetics of the home, right? So the parks, the landscaping, the walking trails, basically the neighborhood. Now, this is separate from HOA. The PID is just, I feel like the PID is just mostly for the beginning, but then they still roll those fees into the taxes. So this is still would be an added on tax, and this is not part of the HOA. The HOA is a different thing. The HOA would pretty much cover your pools, your parks, and all of that. But PID, it's an additional tax rate for that neighborhood. But basically, this is what that covers. And usually these tend to be from 10 years to 30 years. And I have here an example basically. So let's see here. In base, yeah, so pretty much it's going to be the same example as the one I just gave you. Now with PUD, that is a really rare one. I see it here and there sometimes. This is on the bigger neighborhoods, 5,000 homes, 10,000 homes. This is where they're mixing the residential and the retail, and this is more for master plan neighborhoods. So whenever you're talking about thousands of homes, you're probably going to have a public improvement, public unit development. So this is going to be another one. Basically, it's a tax rate. It's an added on tax. So usually I give this example. Think of it like a mini city designed together. So tax over tax. So why does Texas, that's the other one, right? Why does Texas use these districts? They want to keep up with the demand. Texas has a huge demand. Obviously, I think it's mostly cost. Sometimes these developers, they want to make as much profit. They want to sell the lots for as less as possible to the builder and for the builder to keep the costs as low as possible. So basically, then they just add it on the tax rate. So sometimes on these new construction homes, you might see that the price might be super low, but then you look at the tax rate and it's over 3%. So they're getting you one way or another, right? But I mean, that's just how it's just for you to understand the things, right? At the end of the day, I can't control anything, but I'm just giving you an idea how that works. So basically, muds and pits help the cities grow without the city paying for everything up front. So that's a little explanation. Now we're moving on to homestead exemption because this is one that a lot of people forget to actually do, right? This basically helps reduce your taxable home value and applies to your primary residence only, right? So if you have 6 or 5 properties like me, You're just gonna get taxed on everything. I did my homestead exemption for my property, but after the first one, I'm just getting taxed whatever the county wants, right? So, but basically it helps you reduce the taxable home value. So think about it as like getting a discount for it being your first home, your primary residence, and not an investment home. I'm gonna give you an example of what that looks like. I always like to give examples and give some more information. So here it's a little explanation. So basically, just kind of what I said, it's like a discount that the county gives you as your main home. That means lower property taxes, lower monthly payments, more savings every year. Of course, we all love that. We all love saving some money for sure. I know I do. All right, so this is the example that I added for today. This is the 2026 homestead exemption. This is for Dallas County. Now, if you're watching in another state, in another city, I only work in the Dallas area. I'm a local realtor. I help buyers all around, only in Dallas. So if you're watching, if you're comparing it to another city, I have no clue what other cities outside of Dallas would be. But this is Dallas County, right? Collin County, if you're within the DFW, most of these are going to be pretty similar. I'm just giving a scenario for other people like Houston or Austin, right? But basically, in 2026, now if you do the homestead, if you file for the homestead, the county discounts $140,000 off your taxable property value. And I'm here to give you the example. If you basically do the homestead, this is what it would look like, right? 400 for an example on a $400,000 home, average tax rate is 2.3. Without the homestead exemption, your property taxes would be close to $9,200. If you file the homestead exemption, which literally takes you to renew your license or just change your license to the new address of your home and file the application, which literally is free. You can do it online or in person. Takes about 10 minutes. You would be saving 1,500 or $2,200 a year. Why? Because the homestead exemption lets the county know, hey, this is their primary home, give them a tax break. So instead of them charging you the full value of 400,000, the discount that they give you is 140,000 off your value. So that means 400,000 minus 140, 260,000 that they're just going to tax you on. So if your home is worth 400,000, now in front of the eyes with the homestead, in front of the county's eyes with the homestead exemption, they're only going to tax you 260,000, which basically that's anywhere from 1,500 to $2,200 a year for every year that you own this property. Potential savings could be 125 to $180 a month. Basically, the county just tax full value. Basically, whenever you qualify, they'll give you that discount. So I really love it. Just like I said, this is not edit. This is just raw information. So raw information is really important to not have those crazy edits, so that way you can just take as much as you can of information. Because just like I said, this could save you $2,000 every year. For 5 years, that's $10,000 that I just saved you right there. I'm just joking with you, but that is true. Okay, so how to apply for the homestead exemption? Obviously, this has to be your primary home. If you want to apply for two or three, I wish I could do that as well too, but they're only doing that for your primary residence. You're gonna have to change your driver's license ID to your new home address, and then you must own the property, of course. You can apply online or in person. Look up Hoosier County, look up the county's appraisal district. So if you're in Collin County, look up Collin County appraisal district. If you're in Dallas, if you're in Kaufman County appraisal district, right? So for this example, we use Dallas County. So Dallas County basically you don't need to do it every year. So as long as you file it once, and if you don't move for the next 10 years, your homestead exemption is going to be there locked. So you don't have to do this yearly. It's just once. And usually we always talk about this whenever you close on your home. We like to send the reminders so that way you don't forget or you don't save or you don't forget to save on this on the homestead. Now, this is going to be really, really important to talk about with your lender. Whenever you get a monthly payment estimate, ask your lender, hey, are these taxes already with my homestead exemption in place or are they without it? Some lenders are going to quote you with the homestead exemption. So if they quote you $400 with the homestead exemption and they tell you to do it and you don't do it, then at that point, remember how we said it was about $200 difference. If you don't do that homestead exemption, your taxes would jump to 600 because that's the average. So that's why it is very important whenever you're buying your house or just getting numbers from the lender, ask your lender or ask your realtor, ask me, are these numbers based on the homestead exemption or not? And if they're not, you already know that if you do the homestead, you're going to save a little bit more money. So always ask that golden question whenever you're buying your property. Perfect. Veterans, all my lovely veterans who serve this country that we all love, right? I know I do. So you guys get really good benefits, right? I have a lot of you that are veterans that are 100% disabled. Right now, they pay zero property tax if we have any 100% disabled veterans. Zero, 100%, 0% property tax. This is why it's really important to take advantage of your veteran benefits because you're not paying $7,500 every year like the rest of us, right? That's about on a bigger home, 500,000, that's $1,000 a month that you save on property tax. So if you are a veteran, make sure to look into this because that $2,000 for a traditional buyer monthly payment could be $1,500 for you. So always feel free to reach out. I'm in the Dallas market, so let me know and I can go over that with you. All right, so 65 plus years in property tax benefits, right? Additional tax exemption for all the seniors out there. Basically, you have to apply for this with the county as well. The county is not going to go through everyone and see, oh, this person just turned 65. Happy birthday. No, they're not going to do that. We have to bring this up to the county. So if you just turned 65, make sure to get your senior discounts. Make sure to get your senior discounts, even if it saves you a couple $100 a month. Who's not gonna love $100, a couple $100 a month? So please do that. Apply for your senior discounts. And also as well, um, it actually freezes the school district taxes as well. Just to give you an example, my first home, I bought it. It was from 1920. I remodeled it completely. But two doors from me, there's my neighbor who's been in the neighborhood for 45 years. He's a senior now. And his taxes, you won't believe me what his taxes are. My taxes are $6,500 for that property every single year. His taxes are only $500 because he took advantage of this. He took advantage of the homestead. When was passing by, the huge demand for properties and all of that, his taxes were frozen. So he's literally sitting in heaven right now. I told him, I'm like, please don't ever move because if you move, your taxes are going to start again. They're not going to be frozen. Whenever you freeze them, that's whenever it starts, right? And obviously, 10 years, your property tax is probably not going to be the same because your value is going to be higher. But that, my neighbor's sitting on a gold mine. And I know I went out of context, but it's just to give you an idea of what that looks like. Basically, final summary, we talk about MUDs, we talk about PIDs, we talk about PUDs, talk about homestead exemption and how it affects the monthly payments. Veterans, seniors, make sure to get your discount. It is always lovely to understand what you're getting yourself into. Just like this, I do a lot of consultations for all my buyers. I like to explain these things because these are some of the things that if you understand this, you're going to be a lot more comfortable. You're going to save so much money in the future too. So thank y'all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoy this lesson that I gave to you today. It's not a home tour, but I do have a lot of home tours on my channel. This is more for you to have an idea and an understanding of what we can expect whenever we're purchasing or whenever we own a home. Thank y'all so much for watching. Thank y'all for supporting the channel. Please make sure to subscribe. We're on the road to 10,000 followers, 10,000 subscribers, right? We're at 2,000 now. So give us a couple of months. We're going to get to 10,000, celebrate, pop a little champagne. Thank y'all so much, and I'll see you on the next one.